if everything looks good on LinkedIn here. Thank you for joining me for my LinkedIn Live today. All right. Oh, it looks like we're live. Awesome. All right. Perfect. All right, I'll put that over there. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's so good to be live here on LinkedIn and YouTube. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Josie Haynes. I'm an executive and leadership coach focused on enabling women leaders in tech to shed the old models of success, lead the future in tech, and architect a career that rewards you now. I just got back a few weeks ago from this really powerful women's leadership retreat that I got to lead, and that was amazing. And so today I thought I would share with you some of the topics I talked about that have been top of mind around how do we navigate leadership in times of uncertainty. This is a topic that has been coming up with so many of the women that I've been working with. And so, if something comes up for you, write it in the comments, right? Like, what are some challenges that you've been dealing with during these uncertain times? I know some of the ones that my coaching clients have brought up are fears of layoffs, right? Being asked to do more with less resources, dealing with reorgs and changes and feeling so much uncertainty. And so today I thought I would talk about 3 areas. The first is strategies for being asked to do more with less. The second one is some techniques to combat burnout and foster resilience in both yourself and your team. And then how do we address some fears around layoffs and job security? So first, let's dive into dealing with being asked to do more with less. And, I think so often when people hear this, they think about, okay, let's look at productivity, let's look at efficiency. And those are important, but it's also important to look at personal well-being and team dynamics. So the first strategy I suggest with dealing with this is let's get clear on your strategic priorities. Something all of my coaching clients hear me say is set aside at least an hour for strategy time a week. And that's a time where, we get so good at diving into our deep work and thinking about all the million things that we can do that sometimes we're so focused on our immediate that we're not really looking at the long term. And so that's what that strategy time is really for. And it's about getting you really clear on what are your top priorities. What are the challenges that are coming down the pipeline? What are the really important things that you need to be focusing on? Because often, when we start getting stressed out, I know I do this, you kind of start procrastinating. Maybe you just start working on the little things that you need to do and avoid maybe some of the bigger picture stuff. And so I think I tell people, let's create 3 lists. Your first is your top priorities list. And that's your 3 top priorities, 3, not 5, not 10, 3 top priorities that you're working on right now. The next list is what is your on deck list. And so these are the things that might turn into your next top priorities that maybe you're thinking about. You're spending some time pondering on them. Maybe you're thinking about them during your strategy time because they're going to be coming down the pipeline, but you're not taking immediate action on them. And then the third one is, what are things that maybe they're important? Maybe there are problems that you need to solve. Maybe there are challenges, but you are actively not working on that third list. And it's important that you're actually communicating what's on these lists to your team as well, because you don't want them to feel frustrated, hey, I brought up this challenge and them thinking you're working on it, but it's really on that third list, right? Sometimes we feel avoidant about wanting to share this with our teams. We're like, oh, but we don't want to tell them we're not working on this. But if they understand, like, hey, what the top priorities are, there could even be a discussion about what things are on the list. But ultimately, like, you need to be clear and communicate that. One of the things I love doing with my coaching clients is having them show up with a to-do list of like 20 things and narrowing it down to the 3 they should be working on, and then figuring out what they should delegate, what things are really not that important. So it's something I love doing with my clients. The second technique for kind of dealing with being asked to do more with less is really setting clear boundaries. It's mastering the art of saying no. And as women, we can struggle sometimes with our assertiveness being perceived negatively as aggressiveness. And then sometimes we're also people pleasers. I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I hate saying no to people, especially if I feel like I can truly help them. But it's realizing that it's crucial to say no, especially if you're in a leadership role, to make sure that your top goals are being created and that you're not letting yourself get burnt out. And it's about learning how to say no effectively. So one of the things I talk about is, instead of just saying no, it's about helping whoever is making this request of you for support on how to say yes. So let's say your manager asks you to do another thing. And especially with your manager, I know sometimes people really fear like, oh my gosh, but my manager is asking me to do this thing, right? Well, your manager may not actually know all the things that are on your plate that you're doing. And so a great approach is saying something like, hey, I would love to work on XYZ, and I really understand how it's important to the business. But right now, I'm focused on these 3 other initiatives, and this is how much time they're each taking. And so I'm curious, should I deprioritize one of these so that we can make sure that XYZ is done successfully? And then you can have a discussion, you can have a negotiation, you can talk about like, hey, how do we prioritize these things? And then the third strategy is delegate. You know, when I talked about the person's 20 things on their to-do list, one of the things we talk about is, are you taking ownership of things that you really shouldn't be focusing on? And maybe it's about feeling the need for control. I've also seen women leaders feel like if they're not doing things like that have actions and results, that then they're being seen as not being effective leaders. So sometimes we hold on to things to work on because we want to prove that we're working on things, right? But it's important to be delegating so you can empower your team for their own growth and development. Look at who are your high performers that are actually looking to make more impact, who want to take on additional tasks. And when you're delegating, it is so crucial to ensure that you're setting good agreements with your team members. You know, clearly communicating what you want them to do, by when, what does the picture of done look like, and your expectations around status and communication, and then making sure that they agree to this timeline, right? I think that's often a step that we miss, is we ask somebody to do something and they just kind of maybe nod, but we don't explicitly say like, hey, can you do this in this time frame, or are there trade-offs you need to be discussing? If you start leading the conversation around that with your teams, they'll really appreciate and feel like, oh my gosh, I don't just have to take on everything that is handed to me, and I can discuss and figure out, hey, what are the important things that should be worked on? And you know, when delegating, be sure that you're providing the right level of guidance and feedback based on, you know, what skill the person has in that specific item that you're delegating to them. So I'm curious, for those of you who have been listening in, are these some of the strategies you've used for dealing with being asked to do more with less? And if you've used other strategies, I'd love for you to also share them in the comments. And so let's talk about the next section, which is techniques for battling combating burnout, and fostering resilience in both yourself and your team. And burnout is real. We've got lots of changes in the tech industry. There's a lot of layoffs going on. There's AI and what that's going to mean for tech roles. There's a lot of high pressure. And so that's really impacting personal health and team performance, motivation, and innovation at the end of the day. And resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And it's not just a key trait for successful leaders, but it's also a skill that you can teach your team members. And so, lots of people talk about self-care. And I always tell people self-care is like making sure you're taking time to listen to what your body needs and do what it needs. And so it is going to look different for different people, but we do need to take breaks. So schedule your meetings for 25 and 50 minutes so you can stand up, look out the window, get some sunshine in your eyes, walk around the office, or if you're at home, walk around at home, exercise, how are you moving your body? And doing what lights you up, right? Where are you taking time for your hobbies in the evenings and on weekends? So often we get so tired, then we just go lay down and watch TV. And I say watching TV is not a hobby. It does not usually actually build up our resilience and our energy reserves. And one of the other great techniques I use is having a shutdown routine. If you're still thinking about work at 10 o'clock at night when you're laying in bed, you're not resting. So can you do something at the end of your days where you say shut down complete, or you really think about being very intentional and saying hey, I am done. I am done with work for right now. Then another part of resilience is emotional resilience. And this, there's a lot of ways that you can build your emotional resilience. If you're a worrier, like I've been known to be, having a worry journal can be really useful, or having worry time, right? So worry journal is a journal that you have where you write down all your worries, and then you look at each one on your list and say, hey, is this in my control? And if it's not in my control and I can't do anything about it, let it go or reframe it. And if it is in your control, what is the one next step that I can take and can I do that right now, or can I schedule it? Worry time is, if you ruminate or if you get worries during the day, give yourself 20, 30 minutes in the evening, or dedicated time during the day, which is your worry time. And at your worry time, you can worry about everything you need to worry about. But when during that day or at night, it comes up, just say, okay, nope, now's not the time I'm going to worry about this. I'll worry about it during my worry time. And so those are a couple techniques for emotional resilience. One of the things I mentioned was reframing negative thoughts, right? And this is really about when a fear comes up, can you reverse it into something positive that can be even better than what you have right now? So let's say you have a fear, I'm going to get fired. Could you flip it and be well, what if I don't get fired and I actually get a raise or a promotion or a great performance review? What would that look like? And really trying to focus on shifting out of our negative mindset into the more positive one. And finally, it's about building your support network, especially for women. As we go up the career ladder, it is lonely. And especially as you go up the career ladder, a lot of times the only feedback you're getting is negative. And so we need to be cultivating our support networks, right? Finding other peers, not just at our companies, but at other companies that we can, meet with and get support from, investing in a support from a coach, having somebody you can talk to. And, I tell people my coaching with me is a judgment-free zone. And it's a great place for you to just share what is really going on and know that there's somebody there holding space for you. And so, going to other options are going to meetups, doing, weekend yoga events, whatever lights you up, and gets you into a community of like-minded folks that you can chat with. And, we talked about these are all skills that you can build resilience for yourself. But as I said, it's also important that you're talking about this with your team as well, and having open communication and transparency where they're allowed to feel safe to express their concerns, share their ideas, and, you're offering support. One of the things I've talked about is doing a red, yellow, green traffic light. And actually, if you search through my LinkedIn articles, I actually wrote a LinkedIn article about this. And the idea is during stand-up, people share, how are they doing today? Is it red, yellow, or green? Green means I'm doing A-okay. I'm doing great. Yellow means, I'm doing okay. Maybe something's wrong. Maybe I didn't get the best night's sleep last night, but I'm okay. Red means okay, there's something going on, and you don't have to share potentially what is going on, but saying I might need some support today. I'm not doing well. And it's fascinating because then the team ends up supporting each other and says hey, how can I help you out if somebody's potentially feeling red? And so that's a great strategy to also try with your team. And then be sure that you're asking during your one-on-ones, how are they feeling and doing? And, emphasize listening, what is coming up, and acting on the feedback that's there. And then finally, let's talk about addressing fears around layoffs and job security. And actually, before I jump into that, if you've been listening in and you have other tips around resilience or something I said has resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I would love to know which of the tips around resilience resonate with you. And then finally, with addressing fears around layoffs and job security, between the economy right now and AI, it can really feel scary to be in tech right now. And so again, with resilience, I talked about being open and transparent with your team, and with this as well, it's important as much as possible that you can and help them work through their fears, right? With every tech revolution we've had in the past, there's been upheaval, there's been potential job losses, but there have also been new jobs being created. After the dot-com crash in the, early and mid 2000s, over 25% of tech jobs ended up getting cut at one point, right? And I think because that was pre-social media times, it feels worse now in some ways if you had gone through that. But I think it was just as scary for everybody. And we ended up with a tech boom later in 2010. So where there's always peaks and valleys in this industry. And to thrive, it's about having a willingness to grow and learn. And I have seen an uptick in jobs in the last few months. So I think we are potentially in a little bit of a positive spin. We're not in the crazy job hiring that we were in the middle of the pandemic, but it feels better than it was about a year ago. And so, if this is a fear for you, take some time to do some proactive planning. If you were to get laid off, if the worst happened and you were get fired, you got laid off, what would you want to do next? Are there areas you might wish to learn and grow in and you could start now? Could you start networking with other people and see just what opportunities might be out there? Or could you be building your personal brand and visibility and establishing yourself as a leader and expert in tech? Is this can open doors to new opportunities and also provide a safety net. When you're building your personal brand, do what it is that you enjoy, whether it's writing articles, speaking at events, sharing your achievements. And remember, it's okay to start small. If this feels uncomfortable and scary, start small. Maybe it's you write an article on LinkedIn once a month, or you post on LinkedIn once a week. Start with something that feels manageable and you can commit to. And, I hope the advice that I've provided today has been helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments or send me a direct message. And, I love helping women leaders navigate these challenges and have unprecedented success during times of uncertainty, because we can. And having a coach really enables you to have a sounding board. It helps you to see a path forward when you feel stuck. A coach will hold space for you and be your best cheerleader when you're feeling down. A coach will lovingly call you out on those negative patterns that might be holding you back. And a coach will also help you create the action steps and mindset shifts necessary to get to that next level. And I know that women in tech are really busy. So for me, I think the crucial part is about figuring out those right next crucial steps. What is the right next action that is needed, along with the important mindset shifts to make those dreams a reality? It's not about just adding a ton of learning and homework to your to-do list. And I provide personalized one-on-one support for women leaders in tech through a 6-month coaching program. We start by evaluating what might be holding you back from achieving your dreams, and we co-create a development plan to achieve your goals. We meet twice a month on Zoom, during which we discuss the key areas and skills you need to be developing, as well as what challenges are top of mind for you. And then between sessions, you get support from me via Slack to ensure that you're feeling supported and held and can cover anything that comes up. And I truly believe in the power of coaching. One of the things that inspired me to become a coach was the tremendous impact it had in my own career when I crafted my VPE role at Tile. And I've seen the amazing transformations I've been able to witness with the women I work with. And I love supporting women leaders in tech. One of the things I say is I worked on large scale consumer tech during my corporate days. I did it for 25 years, and my teams ended up working on products that have been used by billions of people. And yet I feel so much more emotionally rewarded by what I've been doing the last few years. And so I'm offering a few 45-minute strategy calls to help you get clear on what may be holding you back from achieving your goals and what the right next step is for you in your career journey. So if something I spoke about to you resonates, I invite you to DM me the word tech to book a call with me today. I have some limited spots available, so definitely be sure to reach out. And thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Be sure to comment and and let me know what your favorite takeaways were, and I will see you next time. Bye.